Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 3, Chapter 1. Sergei Ivanovich Kosnuishev liked to rest after his intellectual labors. Instead of going abroad as usual, he came towards the end of May to visit his brother in the country. In his opinion, country life was the best of all, and he came now to enjoy it at Pokrovsky. Konstantin Levin was very glad to welcome him, the more because he did not expect his brother Nikolai this summer. But in spite of his love and respect for Sergei Ivanovich, Konstantin was not altogether at his ease with him in the country. It was exasperating and unpleasant for him to see his brother's behavior. For Konstantin, the country was the place for life, for pleasures, sorrows, labor. For Sergei Ivanovich, the country, on the contrary, offered rest from labor, and a profitable antidote against the corruption which he found in the pleasures and acquaintances of his life. For Konstantin Levin, the country was the more beautiful because it offered an end for works of incontestable utility. For Sergei Ivanovich, the country was vastly more delightful because he could not and need not do anything at all. Their ways of looking at the peasantry were likewise exactly diametrically opposite to each other. Sergei Ivanovich said that he loved and knew the people, and he willingly talked with the moujiks and discovered in his interviews with them traits of character honorable to the people, so that he felt convinced that he knew them thoroughly. Such superficial views vexed Konstantin Levin. For him, the peasantry was only the chief factor in associated labor, and though he respected the moujiks, and he himself said drew in with the milk of the woman who nursed him a genuine love for them, still their vices exasperated him as often as their virtues struck him. For him, the people represented the principal partner in a labor association, and as such he saw no need of making a distinction between the qualities, the faults, and the interests of this associate and those of the rest of men. He lived among them, and he knew them thoroughly. He was their landlord, their mediator, and what was more, their adviser. For the moujiks had faith in him, and came to him for 40 versts around to ask his opinions. But to say that he knew the peasantry would have meant, in his opinion, the same to say that he knew people. In the discussions which arose between the brothers in consequence of their divergence of views, the victory always remained with Sergei Ivanovich, because his opinions, formed by his methodical studies, remained unshaken, while Konstantin, ceaselessly modifying his, was easily convicted of contradicting himself. Sergei Ivanovich looked upon his brother as an excellent fellow, whose heart was bien placé, as he expressed it in French, but whose mind, though quick and active, was full of non sequiturs. Often, with the condescension of an elder brother, he tried to make him see the real meaning of things, but he could not take genuine pleasure in discussing with him because his opponent was so easy to vanquish. Konstantin Levin, on his side, looked upon his brother as a man of vast intelligence and learning, endowed with extraordinary faculties most advantageous to the community at large, but as he advanced in life he learned to know him better. He sometimes asked himself in the secret chambers of his heart if this devotion to the general interests which he himself seemed to lack was really a good quality, or rather a vice. Not through the powerlessness of good-natured, upright, benevolent wishes and motives, but the powerlessness of a strong man pushing his own way through the multitudes of paths which life offers to men, and resolved at all odds to delight in his, and to follow it alone. Levin felt also another sort of constraint in his relations with his brother when he was spending the summer with him. The days seemed to him too short for him to accomplish all that he wanted to do and to superintend, while his brother cared to do nothing but take his ease. Though Sergei Ivanovich was not writing, his mind was too active for him not to need someone to whom he might express in logical and elegant form the ideas which occupied him. Konstantin was his habitual and favorite auditor. It was his favorite habit to lie lazily on the grass, stretched out at full length in the sun, and to talk. "You can't imagine," he would say, "how I enjoy this idleness. I have not an idea in my head. It is empty as a shell." But Konstantin quickly wearied of sitting down and talking about trifles. He knew that in his absence they were spreading the manure on the wrong fields and were up to God knows what mischief, and he felt anxious to be superintending his work. He knew that they would be taking off the irons from his English plows so as to be able to say that they were not as good as the primitive arrangements still used by his neighbor so-and-so. "Don't you ever get weary trotting about so in this heat?" asked Sergei Ivanovitch. "No." "Excuse me a minute, I must run over to the office," said Levin. He hurried across the field.